It seems to me that almost every other video I produce on this channel in some way mentions mighty messengers. But it's for good reason. In a very roundabout way, the whole might personification is why we're here in the first place. It is why we struggle, why we have free will, and why we often do not perceive the very assistance that we are receiving. Heck, I can guess what you're already thinking, so bear with me. This might take a little time to explain. When used as a noun, might is defined from the Merriam-Webster dictionary as
bodily strength, or the power, energy, or intensity of which one is capable.
For those that remember my mental illness video, the term internal locus of control applies to the scenario. When it comes to bodily strength, if you want a champion physique, we know that you have to eventually make your way into the gym and make the necessary sacrifices when it comes to time, meal choices, and suffer every discomfort in a myriad of ways to get what you want to foster that physical strength. Concurrently, spiritual growth is also seen as making similar hard choices that focus on growth and often expel many of the innate beastly tabernacles found in 48.5.8 that states,
one of the purposes of the Urantia career is to effect the permanent eradication from the mortal survivors of such animal vestigial traits as procrastination, equivocation, insincerity, problem avoidance, unfairness, and ease-seeking.
As a gross oversimplification to all of this, as a brief example, my wonderful mini Aussie dog frequently resists my efforts to take her for a walk, preferring just to lie down and rest, and will most certainly attempt to avoid the hot and uncomfortable days with greater tenacity, as I try to convince her to come with me. On the human side, I remember attempting to ascertain the assistance of a neighborhood teenager to help me spread some gravel in my driveway. And I remember the youth first indicating to me that it was too cold in March to do it, and that we should wait until the late spring. For those individuals with experience spreading gravel, you will know as long as the ground is not frozen, cold days are preferable. It's the hot, humid days that a person clearly wants to avoid. And when it comes to March, you can most certainly put on more layers to combat the cold, making cold weather more preferable for intense labor. Can you guess what animal vestigial traits these two stories have in common? All right, now we finally have the definition taken care of when it comes to might, along with the beastly attributes that often interfere with spiritual growth. Now, the last thing that needs to be understood when we piece this all together can be found in the forward section of the Urantia Book in 07.2-4, stating,
Deity is therefore dual in presence.
Breaking it apart into two categories, the first being,
Number 1, existential beings are of eternal existence, past, present, and future. Number 2, experiential beings actualizing in the post-Havona present, but of unending existence throughout all future eternity.
Attempting to make things a little easier to digest, God the Supreme, who is also known as God Almighty, is in many ways of creature beginnings, being created post-Havona epochs located in 07.1, with only an eternal future like many of us. In other words, God Almighty has a clear origin story, unlike the Paradise Trinity. Consequently, God Almighty started with a blank slate, much like we have, and through our individualistic experiences is presently self-actualizing or becoming the entity they were meant to become, which of course is our experiential God. When it comes to the Sacred Trinity, they have been and always will be eternal beings, with no real known beginnings, making them of existential rather than experiential status. This differentiation comes into play as we begin to break apart the might in God Almighty. But in a nutshell, that's exactly what makes us different from deity. We grow, suffer, and develop over the years, being time-limited creatures that have free will. Deity, on the other hand, is perfect and has always been perfect and generally knows not of suffering nor general limitations, at least not in the notion like we do. They have volition, but not to the same degree as we do. After all, a fallible creature has more choices than perfected deity that is timeless. Fallibility offers the opportunity to make bad choices, to succumb to our lower instincts, make mistakes, and to choose essentially who we want to be. Perhaps at this point, things are beginning to make sense as to why we're limited in time, space, or ability. Mighty messengers are described as celestial beings of experiential creature origins that have significant roles in the universe's administration and spiritual missions. Paper 15, Section 10, under the rulers of these superuniverses, attempts to classify them somewhere between the universal censors and those in high authority, as part of the executive branch of government overseen by the Ancients of Days. Mighty messengers are the highest glorified ascendant group of mortals there are that actually achieved the secret embrace of the Paradise Trinity after being inducted into the core of finality. This embrace is typically in response to these ascended creatures staying loyal to the sacred Trinity on worlds of spiritual rebellion. Other forms of demonstrated loyalty can also be proven through the prevention of error, evil, or sin, which is often viewed as a higher achievement than simple resistance on rebellion worlds. For those who have never picked up the Urantia Book before, our planet has faced two such rebellious defaults previously. The first being the original Lucifer rebellion, where our own planetary prince Caligastia defaulted with the corporeal staff and his first lieutenant Dalagastia, siding with the Declaration of Liberty, which was also known as the Lucifer Manifesto. For those of you that wish to learn more about the Lucifer rebellion, I have a whole video on that on my channel. The second default can additionally be found on my Adam and Eve conspiracy video. Due to their loyalty already being tested and proven, mighty messengers are a high-order celestial personality who serve as divine messengers, teachers, and administrators within the universe hierarchy. They graduate in classes of 700,000 per Trinity embrace. They are considered to be more substantial than pure spirits, but not as physically tangible as mortals, and possess a blend of spiritual and semi-material qualities. They are part of the divine administrative ranks, functioning under the authority of higher celestial personalities, such as the Ancients of Days and the Supreme Being. Their primary role is to deliver divine messages, facilitate divine instructions, and carry out administrative duties related to the governance of universe affairs. They can also assist in revealing divine truths to mortals and are involved in educational missions across the worlds. Mighty messengers oversee certain administrative functions in the universe, helping to coordinate the activities of other celestial beings and ensuring the smooth operations of divine plans. These beings are dedicated to carrying out their divine missions with fidelity and devotion. Mighty messengers work alongside and under the guidance of other celestial orders, such as Saphiric hosts, Urantia teachers, and the Eternal Sun. They are distinct from mortals and are pure spirits, occupying a unique role that combines aspects of both. Generally, they operate in ways not directly perceivable by mortals, except under special divine circumstances. Oftentimes, they exhibit many attributes of God Almighty through their experience of perseverance and strength. They are frequently asked to assist in the defense of other experiential creatures of time during their adjudication process, due to mighty messengers being fully conscious of their entire ascendant careers, unlike the initial status of other surviving experiential creatures whose memories will be retrieved later in their paradise career. Thank you again for watching today's video, and I will see you on the next one.